Bluff City Media presents the Two Buck Sports Show with your hosts, Rusty Buckets and Uncle Buck. Now, let's get to the show.
What is up, everybody? Happy Sunday. We are going live a day early for our first show of the week because some things transpired that the Two Bucks wanted to talk about, and what better way to talk about it than with a moderator in Mr. Kenny Stubblefield, who is here with us today. Kenny, what's going on, buddy?
I had to be here to keep y'all separated, and I know I'm not in the middle of the format here. But I'm here to separate the two of y'all because I don't want any fights to happen today.
Yeah, and we're going to be civil, but we are going to discuss this from a couple of different angles with my guy, Drew Gann, a.k.a. Uncle Buck, the representative of Ole Miss on our network. Drew, how you feeling, buddy?
I'm great. Listen, I'm ashamed at my screen time that I've used over the last 24 to 48 hours. This has been a long, drawn-out debacle in which we knew it was going to get ugly, and it did, and it surpassed even our wildest expectations.
Ugly.
But there is something about a divorce that just is going to get messy, and then finally the paperwork has been signed, and you can just see the other side now. Like, we've got a lot to get to. We're not going to be here for 2.5 hours.
No.
So we'll just go ahead and get into it. Lane Kiffin is waiting in Oxford, Mississippi at the airport to board a passenger jet to take him to Baton Rouge, Louisiana, putting a stamp on what we knew was happening for 2 freaking months without him actually saying anything to the contrary, continuing to troll Ole Miss fans along the way the sheep of the fan base, trolling them to make them think he was staying, only to finally meet his maker last night.
Even to the point of tweeting from his dog's account yesterday in the midst of DEFCON 5, when the fires were burning, the smoke was there. It was obvious that this meeting was what it was. I want to go coach at LSU, but I want to coach the playoffs and the SEC championship game if I get a shot. This is a hallmark textbook narcissistic sociopath behavior that you would go to your dog's Twitter account and tweet from it while you're making a decision about where you're going to coach next year. That's crazy work.
Yeah, I mean, some people call it witty. Some people, in multiple cases. Listen, I have loved Lane the Troll. Lane the Troll has given me lots of enjoyment because you're winning. But it's one of those things, you say it nonstop about all things of life, he is one of those personalities, and everybody knows one of these people or multiple of these people. And when things are going great, you deal with it. But you know that when time comes, this is stuff just not going to fly. At some point, you've got to be a grown-up, and the Twitter troll doesn't work. And that's what happened with the Juice tweet. Listen, I've seen this dog before. He does not have opposable thumbs. There is no way that Juice Kiffin is tweeting this. And so it is just
and tagging Lane in it, Lane tagging himself in that tweet after that. And if y'all don't know what we're talking about, he tweeted out an image of what a hypothetical SEC championship field would look like should Alabama have lost the Iron Bowl last night and Ole Miss had the opportunity to play Georgia for an SEC title game. Obviously, it didn't come to fruition. Ty Simpson had something to say about that. But
thank God,
it's just another layer to this. This has been a Lane Kiffin ongoing saga, and Lane, to paraphrase the great legend R.I.P. Dennis Allen, he is who we thought he was, and we let him off the hook with a documentary puff piece that came out back in September, Kenny, where Lane Kiffin tried to pivot and turn the narrative about himself, only for him to show his true colors once again, that all that was a waste of an hour of your life watching that documentary.
Yeah, I've had flashbacks throughout this whole entire drama. And the difference is I've never, I'm not an Ole Miss fan. I'm not attached to Lane Kiffin. Truthfully, I haven't even seen that documentary because I just don't pay attention to Ole Miss stuff. I think Oxford's a cool city. I like Ole Miss in that regard. But I've had flashbacks because I've had people in my life in the past that were people that I've known for years, since I was 3-4 years old, been really good friends of mine for a long time, that as you get older, you start to see things in them that you're like, whoa, this is scary, dangerous stuff, right? That narcissistic, sociopathic type of energy. And I remember having conversations with my wife a few years ago and saying, man, I am really glad I'm on his side of the aisle, because if I'm not, it's going to go very badly, because there was a level of the troll, the crazy, the this, but it was always pointed in other people's direction. And I'm standing behind the guy going, this is real life stuff. I'm standing behind that guy going, man, this is crazy. This is wild. But then some things happened a few years ago where that crazy got turned on me.
Yeah.
And I'm now I was on the receiving end of that crazy, and it is not a place you want to be. And I had to remove that guy out of my life. That is Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Ole Miss has been excited for years because Lane Kiffin's troll has been pointed at other people, and now it's on them, and it's not a place you want to be.
Listen, as an Ole Miss fan, and I try to paint myself as a fair Ole Miss fan. I don't believe everything somebody tells me just because it's the best case scenario for Ole Miss. I kind of consider myself a realist. It's the way it's also why I was terrified Mississippi State would beat us, just because that's kind of I'm just kind of a pitiful Ole Miss fan. I knew the score. I feel like most people who paid attention to cues, who are capable of reasoning outside of just taking the food that's fed to them on the spoon, you knew what was going on. Lane's tried to get out of here before. The image was obviously an issue when Alabama opened up. He tried to get in the Alabama conversation. It wasn't happening. Alabama knew. Alabama kept it under wraps because that's what you can do when you've got Nick Saban heading that program. But Alabama knew the crazy. Tennessee knew the crazy. Ole Miss knew the crazy. Ole Miss knew the crazy. There's stuff out there that has been squashed for a long time. Things that are going to come out, and it's not cocaine and hookers, I'm sure. I'm sure the girls consented and weren't paid. But there were things there that you mask because of winning. You put up with a lot because of winning. And
it's already trickling out over the last 24 hours.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. And so you knew this was coming. And no, not for a second did I think the puff piece orchestrated by Lane was anything other than to puff up his public image in order to get a big job. And it worked.
I remember us talking about that documentary, and I remember some conversations around how it looked like Lane had changed to where his decision making was going to get better going forward. You referenced specifically the PowerPoint and the daughter and all the things. And I remember us specifically having a conversation where you said, I think this is Lane is changing. And I think this is going to be different going forward. And we're not going to have the same old Lane anymore. And here we are 2 months after that documentary, and we're right back to the same old Lane.
Right. Well, and to be honest, what I'm referring to as Lane is the psycho. You know, he was a psycho. He did actually, and you could see, he did clean up his lifestyle. I believe him when he says that Ole Miss was good for me. I believe all of that. But it was an absolute PR move to show that he has grown as a person because of this time in Oxford. Like, I never thought that Lane was necessarily being truthful when he said, first off, he never said, I'm going to stay at Ole Miss forever. That's never said. But he did rehab his image, and the best way that he did that publicly was through that. But I did not take that as I took the truth. What I thought the truth of that was that he was thankful for his time at Ole Miss. I did not extrapolate that to the point to where I thought he was never leaving Ole Miss and that the crazy was behind him.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I was saying a minute ago, a lot of the skeletons are already being fleshed out. Rumors around scorn lovers, stalking incidents last year during the Kentucky week. Like, there's been a lot of things that are starting to flesh out. But Lane Kiffin decided today that he was going to finally address the rumors. And, buddy, let me tell you, it didn't get a whole lot better. Let me get
this statement is crazy.
This is wild. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, Lane Kiffin basically comes out, shockingly takes little accountability, basically saying that after a lot of prayer and time spent with family, which, by the way, I saw a hilarious tweet that was like he prayed about it and God told him to screw over Ole Miss and all the kids who bought into him, which is hilarious. Yeah. But I was hoping to complete a historic 6-season run with this year's team. My request to do so was denied by Keith Carter, despite the team also asking him to allow me to keep coaching them so they could better maintain their high level of performance. Unfortunately, that means Friday's Egg Bowl was my last game coaching the Rebs. And Drew, you can probably speak this more than us, but I've seen a lot of people, Neil McCready, a lot of like legit Rebel sites saying that the team was actually pretty fed up and disappointed with how it was handled.
Listen, when you've got 100 people, the football team is roughly comprised of over 100 people. Anytime that you singularly say the team thinks this, you're wrong. There is no unity ever in a team. You can say the people I talk to, the players that I recruited, that I have a relationship with, want me to stay, but that is not the team as a whole. And I would bet my life that a vast majority were sick of this. 100%. And just like Ole Miss fans just want a resolution, this thing is going on too long. And this is Lane. Just get ready, buckle up. He's going to get on with Brett McMurphy or sit down with Nick Saban or somebody. Pat McAfee. These apologists, Pat McAfee, all these apologists that share the same agency that he has, CAA, Jimmy Sexton, Memphis, Tennessee, that group of people. And he's going to play the victim again. He has started laying this victim card. Keith Carter did not let me continue this. That has been my biggest gripe through this whole thing. Who in their right mind would let you do this?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody. This is a non-starter. This is an absolute non-starter. And for all the blowhards at ESPN who got their morning memo and script from Jimmy Sexton and CAA Saturday morning, and to talk about how Lane deserved to be able to coach his team in a potential SEC championship game in the playoff is beyond me. Nick Saban, the number one, the greatest college football coach of all time, once fired Lane Kiffin for split allegiances before a national championship game, and he goes on ESPN and says that Ole Miss owes Lane Kiffin? Like, this is just the most bass-ackwards thing I've ever heard in my life. And forgive me for not having any sympathy at all. I don't care. This calendar sucks. I don't care. You're making $9 million, and we've offered you $13 million a year. We are in the 11-1, buddy. 11-1.
On the inside track to
and you're going to play the victim because you can't leave?
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's a puff piece by, and it's funny, it's a puff piece by Jimmy Sexton represented talent. You could obviously tell that the powers that be went to College Game Day yesterday and said, hey, guys, this is the talking point. Nothing else. This is the talking point that Lane Kiffin should be able to coach in the postseason when it has literally never happened before in the history of Power 5
not trying. And even if it has happened before, since COVID is a new era, there is a transfer portal. It is even more asinine now than ever before. Yeah. I do not want to lump on-air ESPN personality into the group of journalists that have this inherent obligation for integrity. Like, that's not what those people are.
No.
But you, as an on-air personality for the biggest college football pregame show, you have a responsibility to be at least fair and not take talking points from somebody I don't hold them to journalistic integrity, but you've got to be fair. And what that was just a complete, everyone was, this is the WWE. This is all scripted. Buddy, that was scripted.
100%.
That was dirty business.
100%.
Trying to change public appeal.
It's not going to get any better. You need to, shameless shout out, no free shout out here, but following the guys who don't cover it on TV on a college game day setting is going to be your best bet, because you're going to see Lane Kiffin on Pat McAfee, and he's going to be playing a victim. And let's be honest, there is one true victim in this entire story, and it's Marty Smith for having to stay in that athletic facility yesterday all day long, waiting for this meeting, waiting for answers. Live on air last night, he said, I just texted Lane Kiffin and said, will this end tonight? Please God,
dear
say
God.
yes.
Please, dear God, say yes.
Yeah. And then he did this thing, which you never see reporters do. But for a quick second there, he kind of flashed his phone, and he was like, he has answers. For a second there was like, if I pause this, you think I could read those messages? But I was at that point. It was like 11:30. I was done. It's just, listen. There's this thing. ESPN's lost a lot of luster over the years. Gone are the days of Stuart Scott and Dan Patrick, and God help SVP. He's the only person there in that network that has even the smallest iota of dignity about him. He's amazing. Gone are those days. They're a shill of what they used to be. They're nothing but talking heads with nothing to say, just gas bags. But that, even saying that yesterday, in my opinion, was the worst showing I've ever seen out of ESPN.
Yeah.
And yes, it affects me. I'm on the butt end of this, so I know that I feel stronger about it than anybody else. But I hope, just as any fan of any team that just loves college football, that they are able to see through a lot of this crap, because there is no situation ever. It's just inexcusable.
You want to know who saw through it? Kenny Dillingham. This is why college football is so great. He quote tweets Lane Kiffin with the quote that Lane tweeted out in February of 2021. Beware of destination addiction. The idea that happiness is the next place, the next job, or even with the next partner. Until you give up the idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are. This league, buddy, this is why I wish Kenny would have taken one of the SEC jobs, but he's staying in Arizona State.
Yeah.
But
so he was
wild.
Kenny Dillingham is everything that I hope is right about college football. And you need more voices like Kenny Dillingham, because he's right here. He's right 100% of the time. And Kenny Dillingham could have named any job he wanted to. But you know why Kenny Dillingham stayed? A lot the same reason why Kurt Cignetti stayed. And other coaches have just signed these extensions. Elko. I'm happy. Kenny Dillingham's young. He's from Arizona. His wife is apparently 7 months pregnant. And he just looked around and he said, I like it here. My wife's comfortable here. This is a good job. Let's stay. And that's what Ole Miss has been saying forever. Lane, if you're telling the truth and you're happy here, then commit. I guess it's true. Sorry, Mom, you can't make a whole housewife.
I was just sitting here thinking, was the best thing that's going to come out of this is if Ben Garrett, who laid that quote out, Lane Kiffin then confronted after the Egg Bowl.
Yeah.
Ben Garrett needs to drive to the introductory press conference at LSU and make that man apologize.
He got a text message from Lane, which it just goes to show you the genius of Lane. He's a psychotic genius, not the good kind, but just like if you could just make a neurotic. I mean, he's just the worst. But he makes an AI generated picture of himself sitting at a table at a recruiting hat ceremony, and there's a hat on the table that says housewife, and Kiffin's got the hat that says hoe on, and he sent it to Ben Garrett this morning.
I mean, just to troll the guy who he got in his face at the Egg Bowl. I've got it right here. If this doesn't tell you everything you need to know about how psychotic Lane Kiffin is.
Oh my God, that picture is crazy. Oh my God.
And he sent this to Ben Garrett, who he confronted at the Egg Bowl, basically with state troopers all around him, said, call me a hoe in person and see how that goes. And then storms off between state troopers and then going to send this.
Yeah.
That dude's a psycho, man. That dude's a psycho.
Yeah.
That's psychotic behavior.
And-
That is narcissistic, sociopath, narcissistic behavior.
Let me just give you, as we're going to get into the rest of the stuff, I've got plenty of stuff to bellyache with Lane. Let me just tell you where I'm at right now, because I'll happily just continue to go through this. Right now, Uncle Buck, how you doing? I'm good. Yeah. Like, listen, you deal with a lot of stuff when you win. We knew this was going to happen. The worst part was the waiting. This has been an absolute nightmare. A PR just fiasco. Everything has just been awful for a month now. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad it's LSU's problem now. They can have it. They can have fun with it. I don't even care. Like, there's reports now. Ole Miss has a new head coach. We'll get to it in a minute. But even if they didn't, and we were conducting a head coaching search right now, like, there's just a exhalation that's happening statewide between Ole Miss fans where it's just kind of like, okay, buddy, like, it's been fun. Tennessee fans, don't get in my mentions and say, now you know how we feel. This is 1,000 times worse. This is, I mean, it's a character. I mean, it's the same character doing the same thing. This is just disgusting work.
Let me ask you this. What I think one of the more egregious parts of this, and this isn't even meant to like disrespect the new head coach at Ole Miss and Pete Golding, but Lane's saying he's praying about it and having these conversations with people about what he wants to do. All of that, we can admit now that every bit of that was just, I'm trying to negotiate. I'm trying to strong arm Keith Carter into allowing me to continue to coach this Ole Miss team into the playoffs and potentially the SEC championship game. But what it did, though, was that it, like, today has been crazy. Florida got a coach. Arkansas got a coach.
Yeah.
Auburn got a coach.
We need to talk about all that.
And so now what happens is Ole Miss is left holding a bag saying all the coaches that we were probably talking to, because we know for a fact Keith Carter was out there talking to these coaches. Now all of that is over with. Lane's made his decision and has held on to it for a couple of days. And now they're like, well, who's out there for us to even talk to now? Everybody's gone.
This is the doomsday scenario. This was the doom. I laid it out on the $2 Sports Show. It feels like a month ago, but definitely within the last 2 weeks, where I said that all these jobs are open and you can't be the last one to make a hire. And we can transition this into Pete Golding, but it is a known fact that John Sumrall wanted to come to Ole Miss. He told Auburn no. He held on as long as he could at Florida, but then when the writing came on the wall that John Sumrall was going to have to pick between Florida and Ole Miss, and they didn't like their shot, but Ole Miss had to wait, they said, I need an answer now, and he took a bird in the hand. Alex Golish slow-played Arkansas, and to the point where Arkansas moved off Silverfield. Auburn's mangled this search from top to bottom. They've had multiple coaches committed and went behind the scenes and changed some contract language. Auburn, it's just stuff Auburn does all the time. It's just they've bungled their own search. But because of this whole fiasco, Alex Golish, who would have been Ole Miss's head coach after Sumrall, took the Auburn job this morning. And so Ole Miss is left here with their, C option at best, and nothing else to do, and a staff that was at one point believed, at least an offensive staff, at some point believed to be going to LSU. And so what do you do here? And Keith Carter made a decision this morning in which it is they hired Pete Golding, the defensive coordinator.
Is there an update on the offensive coaching staff with Ole Miss? Because wasn't that reported that Lane basically said, I'm going to purge. Basically, you have to be on the plane with me to Baton Rouge if you want a job with me moving forward.
So Lane told Keith Carter last night. Last night they had their meeting at 6 o'clock or whatever, or 3 o'clock, whatever it was. These public meetings need to stop. Like, we don't need to report. Just make a decision wherever if you meet at a Hardee's or a bowling alley or the Chancellor's house. I don't care. Don't let it leak out. Just, anyways. Lane played hardball. Everybody knew he was going to play hardball. He wanted to coach the playoffs. That's why you got the coordinated message from ESPN yesterday morning. And Lane could not be fired by Ole Miss. There is no offsetting language in his contract that says if he takes another job, then Ole Miss only has to pay this much. They were paying him $36 million if they fired him, one way or the other. LSU could have paid him $100. Wouldn't matter. He'd still be getting 36 from Ole Miss. And so Ole Miss couldn't fire him. So he could have just sat down. And he played hardball last night. And last night they told him he was in no circumstances coaching the playoffs. And he said, well, then good luck having an offense, because I'm going to text every member of my offensive staff and tell them if they're not on the plane with me, then they don't have a job in LSU. Mm-hmm. And the overwhelming report this morning out of Oxford was that there was only going to be one offensive staffer left that was not going to get on the plane. And to that, I said, bye. Like, that's where I'm at now. I don't even care. Like, if you ain't for us, you're against us. Bye. And Ole Miss, Keith Carter countered that move by hiring a current staffer, by hiring the defensive coordinator. The reports now is that this was a move for the short term and the long term. The short term is he's going to say, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm projecting a little bit, some of me, but he's going to go to Charlie Weiss Jr., the offensive coordinator. Say, you want to get out under Lane's shadow? You can stay here. You can be the offensive coordinator going forward. Hey, you go to John Garrison, who John Garrison told the offensive lineman, he's the offensive line coach. He told the offensive lineman, like, hey, this is a business and I got to feed my family. I got to go with Lane. He's giving me a job and I don't have one anywhere else. You go to John Garrison and say, okay, you have a job now, so pick. And the overwhelming majority of folks right now think that that's going to work, and he's going to retain a lot of that offensive staff.
What you got to be mindful of, and this is experience talking here. We'll get to Pete Golding in the playoffs here in a minute. But just like hiring the interims, you got to be careful. Matt Luke has been there.
Listen,
and Mississippi State, we're in a very similar boat here in 2017 when Dan Mullen left us at the ninth hour to go to like the bottom of the ninth, 2 outs to go to Florida. We had a knee-jerk hire, and it was Joe Moorhead. That did not go well at all. We were able to kind of bounce back with Mike Leach. His untimely passing set us back even further. But in situations like this, knee-jerk hires oftentimes end up setting your program back. What are your thoughts on Pete Golding in that light?
I don't love it. I'll be honest. I'm not a big fan of sacrificing the long term for the short term. I think there were better coaching hires out there. Although I do appreciate the fact that you have to take a playoff bid seriously. Like, you can't forego it. You can't go out there with nobody. And so your options are limited. You're either elevating some GAs to do play calling. You remember when local boy Parks Frazier, when the Indianapolis Colts fired Frank Reich, and Parks Frazier, who is just like an assistant quarterback's coach or whatever, is now calling plays for the Indianapolis Colts because they have no one else. Like, that's what you would have run into, and you've got to prize these opportunities to play in the playoffs. And so I get it, I guess, if that's the only path to have some staffers. But I do think it's short-sighted because I was ready to get on this podcast and stump for two dudes. Two dudes that most people probably aren't ready to stump for. It doesn't matter now, but I was option number one would have been Jeff Brom, and I think Jeff Brom's happy in Louisville. He played in Louisville, but I think he's an amazing head coach. I believe he's an amazing football coach, which it sounds silly to say, but gone are the days where you hire elite recruiters and then you figure out the position. You let the position coaches coach. Ole Miss is a well-run machine here when it comes to collective, rev share, NIL. They've always been on the cutting edge. I don't have no reason to think that the money won't always be there, funneled in correctly. You're not going to hit these snags like a lot of schools are having right now because they've been doing this well for a long time. So if I can tell you we've got the money, we will get the players, I want the best football coach. And I think Jeff Brom is one of the best football coaches. And if you didn't get Jeff Brom, and this is where people are going to think I'm just trying to recreate Signetti here, I'd have went to Houston and got Willie Fritz. He's 65 years old. That's where you're going to get the comparisons to Signetti. But you're talking about an amazing football coach. If I can tell you, if I can promise somebody, if I can promise the fans of Ole Miss, if I'm the athletic director, I can promise you we will have players. He's the best coach. I think there's a real argument to be made for both of those people.
So two things. You've made your long-term hire. You've got an interim that's going to be coaching the playoffs. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of hope here, Drew. I told you I wasn't going to come on here and kick a man while he's down. I've done it a little bit, but
I'm not down. I'm breathing.
So in 1989, Bill Frieder was the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines.
What the hell?
Yes, I know the story.
And he was going to Arizona State. Bo Schembechler said, I want a Michigan man coaching this team. And Steve Fisher stepped up as the interim coach, and they rode that to a national championship.
Fab Five, right?
The Fab 5 years, yep. There's a precedent there, especially in today's college football. Hang on.
Here's an orange. Let's compare it to this apple.
Especially, not really.
I appreciate it. I've thought the same thing, maybe.
Because here, and now hear me out, because here and today, it's not that different with these guys are mercenaries. They're guns for hire. None of these kids, none of the contributing players. Kewan Lacey didn't grow up saying, I can't wait to play for Ole Miss and go beat Mississippi State and run in the SEC. Like that, none of that happened anymore. But these guys are mercenaries. They're guns for hire. There might be an FU mentality on this football team that says, you know what, Lane, we're going to go out. This might make Ole Miss a dangerous team in the college football playoffs.
You cannot squander an opportunity to playoff. And I think Pete Golding probably gives you the very best option to go and compete in the playoffs. It gives you stability. It keeps players involved, especially if you can keep your position coaches. Everybody's more or less happy. We can have a unified message from here forward. Absolutely reasonable to think. I worry about long-term a little bit. Yeah, Pete Golding has been widely renowned as a up-and-coming future head football coach, and I think he's an elite defensive coordinator. Every year he's been at Ole Miss, the defense has gotten better as the year goes on, which shows me that he can coach well. He can coach up players regardless of their skill level. They always get better. And so I'm a fan, I guess, but I would have just rather had a permanent head coach. But I just don't know that you can salvage. You could salvage a playoff.
Speaking as a program that is working through hiring an unproven head coach from a coordinator position, it can go one of two ways.
Yeah,
and I would recommend to Pete Golding, like, bro, you look like a defensive coordinator right now. Like,
you want him to clean up?
Clean up a little bit.
No, lean in, buddy. Lean in.
Get the beard shaped like Rusty has. Like, do a little
lean
fade. Lean in, like clean it up just a little.
I want to see the hair coming out of the visor. That's what I want. You know, one of my favorite tweets.
Those old visors had the fake hair on it.
One of my favorite tweets was Ole Miss cannot hire another coach that wears a visor. And Pete Golding definitely wears a visor.
Visor.
He's going to have to be fitted for a ball cap. Listen, I am firmly entrenched in don't hire the interim, because where that basis comes from is that the interim gets a boost from the fired head coach being out. And in this case, fired head coaches are fired because the team sucks. So because the team sucks and is poorly run, the players get a boost from their favorite position coach that is now being elevated. They fight for him for a short amount of time, but it's fake. I don't necessarily put Pete Golding in that category, because the unifying force of this is anti-Lane Kiffin, and we are not making a decision on an interim coach based on an emotional win. Like, this is calculated. It is possibly the best we could do right now, but I'm not putting him in a category that, I mean, much like I said with I'll defended Mississippi State with Arnett. Like, what else are you supposed to do? What else are you supposed to do?
That's where it stops. You can. Yeah. It's what else are you supposed to do? But like, buddy, like if you think this was not an emotionally charged decision to promote a guy from the staff as an FU, partially at least 45% as an FU to Lane, buddy, like come on.
I get it, but what is the? I get that it can be taken that way as an FU to Lane, but I don't understand what the FU is. Like, oh, we're going to make this hire so that your staffers don't go with you.
It's an emotionally charged. It's an emotional hire, is what it is.
And I give Keith Carter. This is one thing, and I haven't said this on the show, but I've believed this forever. I think Keith Carter is one of the greatest athletic directors in the SEC. I think what they've done with the NIL, what they've done, been on the cutting edge of all this, is remarkable. He's made incredible hire after incredible hire. Even the Lane hire was an incredible hire from where it's at. Look at where it's got us. It didn't end well. Move on. But I trust him with this, and he has not been emotional through this whole process. Think about how many times as fans, as media, and even players have spoke out and bashed Lane Kiffin, lashed out because of frustration. You have never seen that from Keith Carter at this point. Keith Carter, if he wanted to be emotional, the reports could have been he's out here trying to collect money to pay the buyout because screw you, Lane, I would rather fire you. Emotion never truly got involved to a point to where a rash decision was made. I think this Pete Golding thing is just, hey, we're going to have to put our best foot out there for the playoff, and if it works, great. Then if not, we may have an Arnett situation, but at least we're going to put our best foot out there for the playoffs.
You have to, because the playoffs are there. Like, you're in the playoffs. Like, you cannot, and I agree with what Drew is saying, like, you have to make decisions for this Ole Miss football team that best suits them for the playoffs this year because they're in it and they have a really good shot of winning it. Like,
so then why already come out and double down and say he's our coach for the playoff and he's our permanent fix?
I have a theory on it.
You're trying to, because the short term is you need these position coaches,
right? And
for the playoff.
And I would also say, like, we can go on to the days of trying to appease players to come back. It's not about the players anymore. This is about the money people. It's about the Ole Miss money. Like, are they behind what Pete Golden is?
And
are they behind?
Because anybody who takes over at this point has 100% support. This is the easiest job to walk into when it comes to public support. Taking over after this debacle, like, yeah, please, we will pledge undying fealty to you, Pete Golding, because you're not Lane Kiffin.
Again, emotionally charged hire, an emotionally charged decision that had to be made for the playoffs.
But that's why I'm pushing you back. You're using that as like a negative. I truly believe there's no emotion in this. It's short term. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's like the playoff had to happen. It had to be the short term.
But that's
there
not
is no
emotion.
other way around that.
When you say emotion, that implies rash, like just whatever. Like, it's not a rash decision. It's the best of a.
Yeah, for the short term, but you don't think it's at least a little bit of a rash decision to say this is our guy going forward instead of, hey, he's going to be our interim and we're going to see where we go, and then call Jeff Brom, then call Matt Campbell, then call Jed Fish.
But if you're doing that
during
though,
the playoffs,
no, I don't think that plays emotion to it. I think it is. You're using the wrong word. It is a short term. You are doing whatever you can to salvage this playoff run. That's what I think this is. That's not emotion. That is a point of view. That is a point of view. I
don't know that your AirPod's working, because I have said that it's not emotion about the playoffs. I'm talking about long term.
It's not emotion at all. It's not emotion at all.
I don't know.
It's like, just.
We're in our fields. Let's just get the safe one. Let's make this higher. Like, whatever. When you could have, like, I guarantee you, like, some of these coaches you could have called in the playoffs.
No. This play it out. Play it out your way. You say this was an emotional. You're saying that this is a hire that's made out of emotion when you could have just made him the interim for the playoff and then you hire somebody else. Play that scenario out. What are you doing in the playoffs?
You're playing in the playoffs.
You're playing. Who is coaching this team on the offensive side of the football?
The interim coach, whoever is there.
There is none.
Whoever he can get.
The head coach is there. Pete Golding is a defensive coordinator. This is not emotion. This is logic. And there's two ways that you could have gone about this, but it's not emotional. Logic tells you can wait and you can make Joe Judge, or you couldn't even make Joe Judge the interim because he's the only dude that has been on the offensive side of the football all year long. So he now becomes your coordinator, and Pete Golding is your interim, okay? You can do that, and you can punt the playoffs, because that's what that would be doing, is you would be punting the playoffs. It would be.
Not necessarily.
Sure, you could catch lightning in a bottle, but it is not setting yourself up for success. You can't say that's setting yourself up for success.
I mean, it just like you cannot say that this knee-jerk hire to make Pete Golding the long-term head coach, which is what I've been trying to say this whole time, is setting you up for long-term success, because, buddy, it's not. Like, there's a greater than not chance that like he's not going to be the guy in 3 or 4 years, because this is not going to go well because you made a knee-jerk decision in light of Lane Kiffin embarrassing you on a public stage. You can sit here and say it's logic all you want, but like, there are other options out there that would have considered Ole Miss. I guarantee you a guy like a Matt Campbell, or even,
Matt Campbell,
these guys would have listened. They would listen to a phone call from Ole Miss, but instead, and listen, I'm happy. I hope it's Pete Golding. I hope he sticks around. I truly, truly hope so.
No, and see, that's where the hat is doing the talking, because I
want him to stay.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and that's why you're failing to see the logic that you're assuming, or you're not assuming. You're telling me that it's going to end up in a fiery crash, and you can't say that. I went on this show. No, listen, hold on. I went on this show and I talked to you about this coaching carousel and how everybody's talking about sitting Power 5 head coaches, but who have been the most successful. And just to get out in front of this, I'm not saying Pete Golding is going to be this, but the sitting coaches that are the most successful right now all are at their first jobs at their as a head coach. Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, even Dabo Sweeney had a day. Not in this era, but all these guys were position coaches or coordinators. It's not a prerequisite that you have had to be a head coach in the past to have success. There are coaches I would have preferred, but let's not pretend like Pete Golding is dead on arrival.
And I never said that there wasn't, like, we can sit here and cherry pick whatever you want. We could also go through the litany of position coaches and coordinators that didn't work out, because it's a lot longer.
You could do that with the same with sitting head coaches as well.
And how many interims or how many knee-jerk hires? Like, Dan Lanning was not a knee-jerk hire. Like, these guys were vetted. Like, there was rationale and logic behind it. This is very much a knee-jerk to make him the long-term. I'm not talking about the short-term. This was the best decision you could have made for the playoffs. I'm talking long-term. Yeah. I truly just don't see that it's going to work out in the long term. And Jared brings up a good point here, right here. You have a team that you're handing to that hosted, advance in the playoffs. What coach wouldn't want to step in and have that conversation?
Of course, they should. I'm not here telling you that this is the best hire they could make. I'm just telling you that it's not dead on arrival either. I would have probably done something different, but the logic matches up to me, because you have to maximize the percentage chance that you can compete in the playoffs. This has been an absolute mess, and you have to cherish this playoff run. And if this is the best way to do it, and then you have to figure it out later, and it does not turn out well, then you can address it later. But this is the best shot.
You've already committed to later today. When, like Jared's saying here, like, if you were going to have other coaches you preferred, why go past the interim tag?
Again, I don't know why I have to keep saying this. You are losing every single one of your offensive position coaches. Every one of them.
But you can hire coordinators.
Okay,
and those people
how about this?
Playoffs.
How about this? Let's just not have an offensive staff and host Miami in 3 weeks and see what happens.
Again, you would have people that could run that offense.
Stupid.
There's been people that are there.
No, you would have graduate assistants. That's stupid, Rusty. That is absolutely asinine.
Because you're acting like keeping these guys are going to be what's going to be perfect for the future when head
I
coach
didn't
bring in
say
a whole
the
new
future.
Staff.
Kenny, you're going to jump in. I did not say the future. I said the playoffs.
And I've agreed and conceded the playoffs. I am now talking long term. Who's being short sighted? You're only talking about the playoffs right now. I'm talking about the health of Ole Miss over the coming seasons.
And forgive me if I don't take your opinion on the health of Ole Miss. Forgive me. If you were an EMT and Ole Miss was bleeding out in the street, you would just turn tail and walk back to the truck.
No, I want to remind everybody of what you did say last night, Drew, in the chat. You said, what would you not do? You said he wouldn't help out as an EMT if Ole Miss was in pain.
Oh, no, I said no.
You said you wouldn't.
No, I said you asked me how I was feeling, and I said if Lane was on fire, I wouldn't piss in his ear. Like that's what I said. I stand by that. Yeah, that's how Rusty feels about Ole Miss. So at least we need to get in front of this.
Listen, buddy, I'm excited. Like for the long term health of Ole Miss, this hire fires me up, man. Because like when you could have slapped an interim tag on him and then got a head coach with his own offensive staff. I'm all for this hire long term health. Just going to get out in front of that as well.
When does the transfer portal open? When does it
December
open?
3rd.
It opens like in 4 days. Like there's not a lot you can do. Like you have to make a decision. That's why what Lane has done is so bad, because he has put Ole Miss in a situation where if you want to be successful in the playoffs and then be able to have some kind of continuity in terms of the transfer portal and recruiting for next year, you've got to have somebody in place, and ain't nobody waiting, right? Like
you're right.
But do you think that Pete Golding is going to be able to convince the entire staff, offensive staff, or at least the majority, to stay and not go with Lane? And then now you got they're going to be there to recruit these guys, or is Pete going to be trying to build an offensive staff himself when you could have a head coach bring their own, much like Lane is doing?
I think that the offensive staff, if he can retain the offensive staff, then he won't need to go look for anybody else. I think the offensive staff is really, really good.
I'm not doubting that, but I think they're going with Lane.
You know what made me wonder? When it was very clear about a week ago when Lane Kiffin, it was clear they had a conversation where they said, bro, you've got to stop trolling and talking about all of this on Twitter.
He quit tweeting like 2 weeks ago.
And Ole Miss, basically, as much as Jimmy Sexton put out his henchmen on ESPN, Ole Miss went out and said, hey, Trinidad, we need you to go and make a post about how everybody's connected in the locker room. Hey, this is about the university. This is about – then the chancellor of Ole Miss went on one of the bigger radio or news stations in Oxford and said, basically, this is about the coaching staff. This isn't about Lane.
They tried to fix the messaging.
The coordinators are the ones that
Q1 Lacey, everybody copy and pasted the tweet.
And so I wondered why he said that. Like I wondered if that was a shot at Ole Miss or a shot at Lane, or if that was them saying, because Keith Carter and the chancellor are smart guys. I honestly think they were probably
it was the fact that the center focus or the singular focus of the Ole Miss football program had become Lane Kiffin, and it was a conscious effort by Glenn Boyce to try to amplify the jobs that have been done by the staffers and by the players. Again, I'm a broken record when I say that players win games, and we've yet to talk about the players. So that's what
I'll say that, and I'll to poke holes in my own argument. I just saw this tweet from Andy Staples, so I will put this out there. You know who the last defensive coordinator to take over for a top 10 program's head coach that left to go to LSU is?
Hold on. Took over for a coach that left to go to LSU.
A top 10 program to go to LSU.
Trying to think of who. I was going to say Gundy, but that would mean that no. I don't know who.
It's Marcus Freeman.
Oh,
Marcus Freeman took over for Brian Kelly, who left a top 10 Notre Dame program to go to LSU. Marcus Freeman's working out pretty well. There was some growing pains, but it's working out pretty well.
It's that's cherry picking. Pete Golding was going to get a job as a head coach if he wanted it at some point in the future. You have accelerated this thing. Like he is a good football coach. He is a player's guy. People like playing for him. It is not a lost cause for next season with him being the coach here. Would I have went a different way? Yes. But to act like he's dead on arrival and that Mississippi State fans are licking their chops, then that's hopeful on your end. I'm hopeful on my end.
I'm not saying he's dead on arrival. I think that you can win some football games with him, but I am grateful for this hire over what the field could have possibly brought in. That's what I'm saying.
So Alexander Kane has been in the comment section talking about Glenn Schumann this entire time. What are your thoughts? Would you be more excited about Glenn Schumann?
I'm pretty sure Lane Kiffin banged Glenn Schumann's wife. So that's kind of a weird name to throw out there. Glenn Schumann is the defensive coordinator at Georgia, right?
Yeah, Georgia.
Again, logistically, that Alexander's got a got a stake in the Schumann camp apparently somehow. I don't get that because again, is Glenn Schumann going to just walk across Alabama and come to Ole Miss now? Like this wasn't a hire that was made at the end of a season. Like there's so many things that are going into this, and the playoffs were obviously very high on Keith Carter's objectives here.
Yes.
And that's Glenn Schumann doesn't solve that. We see what Keith Carter's objectives were, what his priorities were. It's obvious, very high on that list. Number one on that list is being able to compete in this playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is a bad decision at all. Like,
again,
if you take this playoffs,
you have to
take this. This is a Memphis-centric network here. We do a lot of Memphis Grizzlies stuff. We talked about last year about, there were people that were wanting to tank to dodge Oklahoma City in the first round because what good comes out of getting swept by Oklahoma City? There's those people. And then there's people that's like, playoffs, get out there and learn something from it. Right. Cherish it. You don't get it every time.
Right. That's who we were.
Yeah.
And so here, all I'll say, and then I do want to kind of transition and talk more about the players because, like, at the end of the day, they're the ones that are getting really the short end of the stick here. But that LSU at Ole Miss game next year is going to hit like crack. Like when Lane comes to Ole Miss next year, buddy.
My God,
buddy.
Let me tell you this, bro. Ole Miss fans are not known to be crazy like Tennessee fans are. Everybody's got fans that are obnoxious. We've got them. You've got them. Everybody's got them. That's not what I'm talking about. Crazy. Tennessee crazy.
Yeah.
Ole Miss doesn't have a lot of Tennessee crazy in us.
It's different.
However, it's like,
buddy,
this may unlock something. It's just like Lane Kiffin was down in his luck. He once had the supermodel girlfriend, and he screwed it up. He did a horrible job, and he found him a nice woman, a woman that his mama would appreciate. And that woman took care of him, nurtured him, made him drink healthier beverages and exercise in the mornings, and elevated him to this point. And what Lane Kiffin did was say, hey, nice, wholesome Christian woman, I'm going over here with the sexy woman now that my self-esteem is back up, now that I'm seen as sexy again. That nice woman may not be nice now. That nice woman may turn out to be the woman that takes a golf club to your headlights. That woman may be in the stands instead of throwing mustard bottles, you're throwing baseballs.
Buddy, it's going to be a riot in Oxford, like we've seen in Tennessee, like we saw today in Arkansas over the Ryan Silverfield hire. It's going to be must-see TV when Lane comes to Oxford.
And Lane has already circled that date, and he is prepared the troll tweets of all.
Oh, man, that's going to be
for that.
And let me take a minute to say now regarding Lane and his personality. I've defended Lane a lot with his personality. He's a troll. He's an internet troll. I don't for a second think that he purposefully and maliciously did this to Ole Miss. I think he is completely and utterly abandoned of self-awareness, and he thinks that he's right in this. I guarantee you, he is shocked. He is shocked right now that Ole Miss is outraged at him. How in the world would they not let me do this? This doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand. Please, Pat McAfee, please let me on here and toss me some lobs here and let me play this sympathy card and knock it out of the park. Like, he's not he may be an idiot. I mean, a narcissist is a good word, I guess.
Yeah. But this is the sentiment across the great state of Mississippi. I saw this and had to get it on stage. We can all agree that we hate Lane Kiffin now.
Yeah,
I'm curious to know what the allegiance is. Alexander in the comments here. You're spicy stuff here, and I appreciate spicy stuff in the comments.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen you here. Their spiciness is welcome in our comment section.
Shout out.
I just want to know what your allegiances are. You're obviously pro Glenn Schumann, and you hate Pete Golding. I'm just curious where your background. What's your background?
Yeah, like
what was your take, Kenny? You were about to say something about a narcissist.
No, like a narcissist has the inane ability to like recreate narratives about what goes on in their lives to the point where they actually believe it to be true, where they could probably pass a lie detector test to like, and because they believe that it's true. Lane has done that with this situation.
And that's the reason why there were so many Ole Miss people, and these are the sheep that I was talking about. The narrative, and Rusty floated it on our show, and I shot it down, that he's playing some kind of 4D chess and that he's going to come out with this grandiose statement that's saying, oh, yeah, I purposefully flirted with Florida and I purposefully flirted with LSU just so I could come in here like a WWE wrestler and declare that I've tested the waters and it's better here. That was never Lane. That's the narcissistic behavior. No. He's not doing this ever out of the benefit of the greater good here.
For the record, I was floating something I saw on Twitter. I did not believe that for a second because Lane Kiffin only cares about Lane Kiffin. Like, that's been obvious. And I cannot wait to see the next ESPN documentary that comes out about him that paints him as a good guy in this situation.
I don't know. I think you've been burned now. Like, I don't know how you can make that documentary again and it be apologetic to Kiffin. Like, I just don't know that there's a recovering of this. He did that whole E60 hour-long special on leaving Tennessee at midnight and feeling so bad about it that he held a press conference as he's walking out of town in an unbranded blank white polo as he goes to USC to take his dream job. And he spent an hour talking about like how that was my dream job, and I get that. He coached under Carroll there, he won championships there. That very well could have been his dream job. And then the whole Alabama thing, and he gave reasons as to this, but it also could just be the reason that you are not happy. You're addicted, as Kenny Dillingham said. You're addicted to the next big thing. You're addicted to the trip. The destination is your addiction, and you're never satisfied where you're at.
Do you think he'll be successful at LSU?
Buddy, he better hope he is.
Yeah.
Because if you thought Ole Miss people were vitriolic right now, go 8-4 next year.
If history repeats itself, he might be successful, but he's going to get tarmacked at LSU, right? Because he left Tennessee on a bad note to go to USC, and he got tarmacked. He got left on a tarmac and had to figure his own way home. Like Drew said, if you go 8-4 a couple of years in a row while this thing's sorting itself out, he'll get tarmacked again.
Listen, there were legitimate speed bumps in the process for Lane Kiffin to LSU, and Lane Kiffin flagged some things that they need to fix in their NIL department. They have they have all the money in the world. They have a real problem funneling that money legally to players, and that's something that is a big deal these days with the rev share coming on. They're really going to tighten the screws on this above the cap NIL stuff. What we were relying on solely is going to be restricted heavily now because there is revenue sharing going on. They have a real hard time getting all of this infinite amount of money that LSU has above the cap into the players' hands legally. And that was flagged by Lane and his representation. But he painted himself to a corner there where he wasn't welcome back here either. So they're going to have to figure that out. But it is not just a a plug and play situation there. He's going to have to do some renovating to that organization. And
where does all the LSU money come from? Like, how are they? I know, like,
They filter it from children's hospitals.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they got banked up
busted
a few years back, funneling money, laundering money through a kids' cancer hospital. It's like the same as if the University of Memphis were illegally laundering money to football players through St. Jude.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. LSU dirty work, man. It's diabolical. It's dirty.
But now they can do it. That was before it was legal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I don't know what the industry is down there. There's plenty oil. There's lots of, I don't know, but they got it. There's no doubt they have it.
So it sounds like to me, just kind of putting a bow on all this, it feels like, Drew, you're able to exhale from this situation because it's a level of, if I'm saying this wrong, you can stop me.
Please.
This feels like you're coming out of an abusive kind of relationship where now it's like it's good in its good moments, but it's like this has not been a entirely pleasant journey with Lane Kiffin. And now there's a level of being able to excel. Like, he's gone. Like, we don't have to worry about him anymore. Let's continue to move forward the way that we know that we can as a fantastic university like Ole Miss is.
Yeah,
I
think that Ole Miss is better off because Lane Kiffin elevated this program. I think Lane Kiffin is where he's at now because Ole Miss elevated him as well. I would be lying to you if I didn't say I didn't greatly enjoy the Lane Kiffin years. I mean, you're talking about relevance, you're talking about playoffs, you're talking all this other kind of stuff. Yeah, it was awesome, but enough's enough at a certain time. And you did this in 2022 where you flirted with Auburn and your daughter got in the way because she liked Oxford, and you made us eat crow then, and we welcomed you back, and then you did it again. It's just like, fool me once, man. And this was so much worse. It dragged on for too long. No, he burned every bridge in Oxford. I'm not going to look back at I hope that in 10 years we look back and be like, that was fun and it was the start of something, and not what Tennessee's doing. And it's like, oh, that was quite possibly our best shot in recent memory. And he left.
It is going to be interesting to see how this pans out over the next few months and couple of years. But yeah, we've got plenty more time to digest this. Throughout the rest of this week, we'll be talking college football playoff polls as we head into championship week Sunday. That'll get us a better picture of what exactly happens to Ole Miss. You see it all over. I'm not advocating for it, not saying this is going to happen, but there's a precedent there for a major change happening to a football team and then getting left out of the playoffs. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but it's there with Florida State. So it's going to be really interesting to watch what happens over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I stand by what I said. The playoffs are a reward for regular season success.
Exactly.
And this hire, the Pete Golding hire, probably assuages the committee in some form or fashion as well. If we keep our whole staff, maybe we get a home game. We should. There's no way possible. It'd be asinine to let this cost Ole Miss a home game.
I agree. But I'm just telling you, it's happened before.
Yeah.
But that's going to do it for your Sunday edition of the $2 Sports Show. Kenny, thanks for hopping in here, playing referee, being here with us today. Drew,
you did a terrible job of refereeing.
No, I loved. Hey, listen, there's a line. I know y'all too. There's a line where it then goes haywire. Y'all were right there, and then you said, "You know what? We're best friends. Let's hold hands again."
And that's what you get on $2 Sports Show.
We haven't even gotten to talk about Ole Miss beating the ever-living dog snot out of Mississippi State on Friday because of this.
That'll come tomorrow.
Just a mercy killing in Starkville on Friday, and we're having to talk about Lane Kiffin.
Y'all just hired Pete Golding. Get out of here. Like, y'all just hired. That's what we're talking about.
Rebs on top, baby.
That's it. Well, we will talk more about the slate of games from this past weekend tomorrow. Get you ready for the Kings game with the Grizzlies and so much more on the Monday edition. But for Kenny, I am Rusty Buckets signing out. Y'all go be a friend to somebody who needs a friend. And Drew, tell them why there are no refunds.
That's right, because as LSU just found out, you get what you pay for with the $2 Sports Show. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
Thank you for listening to the $2 Sports Show. If you enjoyed this episode, leave a rating and a review wherever you download your podcasts. Also, like and subscribe to Bluff City Media's YouTube page. We'll see you back here next time.